Welcome back to The Female Criminal. Last time we explored the psychological void of Shirley Silva, La Gata, and her cold, calculated execution of her boyfriend, Freddy Ramírez. The murder was an assertion of dominance, a crime defined by surgical coldness. She was arrested, showing no regret and no signs of distress.
¿A cuánto te has matado así? Con pan y elegancia. ¿A cuánto te has quebrado con pan y elegancia?
No lo da muy bien, ¿no?
¿Ah? Mira tu cacharro, pero ¿a cuánto?
No, mira mi cara.
De arriba, mírate de arriba.
But as investigators examined her life, the picture became much darker. Tonight, we move beyond the psychological portrait of a dominant lover to reveal the face of a generalized predator. If you haven't seen part 1, you can catch up by clicking the link in the description below. This is the second chapter in the story of Shirley Silva, detailing the shocking murder of her second victim, Javier Viera, and the bizarre social media phenomenon that followed, which attempted to turn a double killer into an icon. While Shirley Silva was in custody for the murder of Freddy Ramírez, her violent history came into sharp focus. The investigation soon linked her to another brutal crime, the murder of Javier Viera, a restaurant employee killed in a separate incident. Unlike Freddy, who was a victim of Shirley's pathological need for relational control,
¿Nunca antes has delinquido? ¿No tienes antecedentes?
Esta es mi primera vez que agarro un fierro.
¿Es la primera vez que te interviene la policía?
Sí.
¿Qué tendrías que decirle a los familiares de la persona?
Viera's death was rooted in a dispute or confrontation outside of an intimate relationship. The details of the confrontation remain stark. Viera was killed by Silva with the same lethal efficiency and cold precision that ended Freddy's life. There was no protracted argument, only swift, fatal violence.
¿Nunca antes has delinquido? ¿No tienes antecedentes?
Esta es mi primera vez que agarro un fierro.
¿Es la primera vez que te interviene la policía?
Sí.
¿Qué tendrías que decirle a los familiares de la persona?
This second murder was the final devastating piece of evidence. It proved that Shirley Silva's aggression was not limited to a specific person or motive. Her capacity for violence was generalized. She viewed conflict as an obstacle, and her immediate default solution was lethal elimination. Javier Viera was the second non-relational victim to tragically confirm her identity as a predator. With 2 victims confirmed, the justice system had its facts, but the public, particularly the online public, had created a competing narrative. The final disturbing legacy of this case was the Shirley phenomenon. Online, her image was controversially romanticized. Her cold demeanor, her flat, unresponsive face during interrogation, and her stated lack of remorse were seen by some not as symptoms of a sociopathic mind.
¿Eres tú o no?
Sí,
dice. Estás hinchada. ¿Qué ha pasado?
Oh, pero ahorita te matarías uno más.
Si
Pues si lo encuentras ahí, lo hubieras matado.
Sí,
¿no?
te doy un fierro, te lo bajas.
¿Te lo bajas o no?
Ala.
casi lo mato, te digo.
¿También?
Sí.
¿Por qué?
Porque te va a tirar en el piso.
But as defiance. This bizarre cultural detachment from reality saw a true criminal elevated into an online symbol. The psychological void that defined her was, in the digital space, transformed into a sign of necessary strength and power. Why did this happen? The phenomenon is a reflection of our collective discomfort. When a woman acts with this level of calculated, surgical coldness, the mind struggles to process it. Instead of confronting the truth of a female predator, the narrative changes. She is stylized.
No la llevo por eso. No, sí, ¿no? Casi te doy, ¿no?
Casi.
Te moví. Él te tiró más allá.
¿Cuántos balazos has metido en total? ¿Cuántos balazos has metido?
4, 5, 6.
Claro, porque habían 12 en
Ay, así mi cara.
y ahorita hay solamente 6.
This detachment allows users to bypass the grim reality the two lives ended and engage only with the aesthetic of the killer. It is a psychological defense mechanism, creating distance from the horror by turning a violent woman into an object of fascination.
Esa es mi cara.
¿Sí o no?
Si hubieras completado la media docena, pe.
Sí, es que él no quería.
¿Quién él?
Ahí no te lo llevó.
Yo le dije, paga el bar, me dijo. Si hubiésemos entrado al bar, nos hubiésemos encerrado en el bar, mongolo.
Pero querían el hotel, pero
Tenía miedo,
querían
¿Quería
tirar.
que chorear o
Yo le hice
ir
caso,
a
yo pensaba que él era pendejo.
Querían tirar
Me
eso.
emborraché y mira, me llevó al telo donde me va a matar.
But the truth, as always, remains grounded in the facts. The phenomenon is a distracting layer of noise over a foundation of absolute lethal aggression. She was not a symbol. She was a woman who was found guilty of the premeditated murder of two men. With the evidence of both murders, the verdict was swift and unequivocal. Shirley Silva was found guilty of both murders, solidifying her status as a double killer. The court noted her complete lack of remorse as a key aggravating factor. Shirley Silva was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Justice was served, ending her murderous rampage and ensuring she could never again exercise her predatory lethality on the outside world. The true legacy of La Gata is not the viral fame. It is the story of two victims, Freddy Ramírez and Javier Viera, and the terrifying portrait of the female criminal capable of pure, unadulterated coldness. The case of Shirley Silva forces us to acknowledge that lethal aggression wears many faces, and that the greatest danger can come from the absence of emotion, not the presence of rage.
Sí, igual te lo contadito nomás donde has matado.
Donde mata más pendejo ahí para que te.
Encima me hace que le compre pollito broster, ni siquiera.
¿Te has
Caminante
sangrado?
pasivo.
¿Te has sangrado?
Sí. Ha caminado como pendejo.
The story of La Gata is a study in dominance, detachment, and the terrifying psychological void that was only ever satisfied by taking a life. Thank you for confronting the darkness with us on The Female Criminal. If you found this documentary insightful, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue to explore the complex minds of these unique offenders. We'll see you in the next one.